I mean, my life right before Eagles Nest was very lonely. It was miserable, and found myself in a much worse situation than I'd ever been in. And I was alone, I was isolated. I knew what to do, but I just was so prideful and so engulfed in my own misery that I wouldn't do anything about it. And then before you know it, I had the police and investigators knocking on my apartment door, and I'd found myself in jail again, having to call my dad again. And that was a tough situation to be in. I got into drugs at the age of 11. I started smoking weed and drinking and stuff like that. I would say I got into it for acceptance. I think now from, being here and exploring the reasons why, I would say acceptance is why I started. It took a hold of me and I loved it and then never could let it go. My older brother Skinner was here. He had been here probably about 3.5 years before I got here. That's how I knew about it. Honestly, I didn't want to go back to Florida because it was hot. And when I got arrested, it was the beginning of mow season down there, and they cut grass there. And I just wanted to be where my brother was. I loved it. From the time that I started driving up that hill, I had a peace come on me that I hadn't felt in a very long time. And I knew that the battle was over. When I stepped in the doors, I felt love and I was comforted and I wasn't scared. I just knew it was where I was supposed to be. And I had a feeling very early on it was where I was going to be for a long time. A lot of them. I mean, the therapeutic work sites have always been a huge deal for me. And inner healing was a great class for me where I really changed as I was doing my last forgiveness letter. It was to my dad. I was reading it. I got through it, and Zach Knowles was the teacher at the time. And thankfully, he had the discernment. He was like, I think you need to forgive yourself. And man, he walked me through some prayer, and that's when everything changed. When I learned how to forgive myself and just show some grace for me and realizing that I did deserve it. The only one holding on to the condemnation and all that was me. And when I learned how to let that go, there was just a peace and a freedom that I hadn't experienced. And that was like my introduction to grace, and that's where really everything changed. Hardest part of the program would be the end of inner healing. I'm gonna tell on myself. I had a family business about me. I was still operating in some rebellion on the job sites. I was running a crew. Zach had put a lot of trust into me, and I was driving through Virginia Tech's campus and stopping at stores and living that double life, wanting to be this one guy and present this one way at Eagles Nest. And the moment I got a taste of some freedom outside, I took advantage of it. And in that family business, Robbie and Ryan and, all the elders were there and they were really pressing me. And Robbie made a statement to me. He was like, "You're as phony as a $3 bill." He's like, "You come off all sweet and presentable, and then when you leave a sour taste in people's mouth. The moment that you get some freedom, this is what you do." And he had really painted that, played the tape through of what I was facing and the charges and everything my family had to do to get me here. And man, it was such a tough moment. And I ended up getting some really good healing at the end of it. And the Lord really showed up. And then I got up from the healing. We're all in the main house. It's a lot of people in there. And Robbie, I believe, or Ryan said, "There's one other person that I think you need to forgive." And I turned around and my brother Skinner was there. And we had a moment that we've never had before. And we hugged and cried on each other's shoulder. And it was just a breakthrough moment. I would say that was one of the hardest but best moments that I've gone through in the program. I had a good time in stage two. I really enjoyed it. I loved SLT, loved serving the men. I loved everything it was about because I had a purpose that I never had. I felt when I woke up, I had a purpose, And I had a place where I was accepted and wanted and loved, and I'd really never experienced it to that depth before. The hard part is I was about a couple months into SLT. You know, this is still the time where COVID was around. My mom and dad got it in Myrtle Beach. About a week went by and my mom had gotten over it and he was still sick. He ended up going to the hospital at UNC, and the last time I spoke to my dad physically was on the sidewalk in front of the main house. So why it was so difficult was about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, my dad was dead. And I never got to speak to him again. He was a pillar of our family and community where we're from in North Carolina. And there was no goodbye. He was someone that I strived. Here, he was a big motivation of someone that I wanted to just prove myself to and show that I was serious about changing. That was a very difficult time because losing him, you know, the aftermath of that, like my brother Tyler getting thrown into the business, my mom was upset tremendously. At the time, my now wife, but girlfriend at the time was living in there. Everything was pulling me back there, and the Lord, for some reason, was telling me to come back to Eagles Nest and continue my journey in SLT, and I did not want to do it. I got back here, and I felt hopeless. I felt numb. Didn't want to do it. Everything that I spoke about that I loved had gone away. Man, this place really loved me through that, though, and they were there for me, and one thing that I really gathered now is that I lost my earthly father, and nothing or no one could ever replace that. But the Lord had me in a situation where I had 20 men that were like father figures that were able to help fill that gap and love me through it. There was a ministry moment at one of the new houses up on the hill where Robbie led me through it, and I was able to see my dad and Jesus. And man, it was just, he was able to tell me that he was proud of me and that he loved me, and he just wanted me to keep doing what I was doing. He loved this place and he was glad I was here. That was really impactful because after that, I finally made my mind up that I was going to stick it out, because I almost didn't. I mean, I was on probation at the time, and I was actually writing my probation officer an email saying, transfer me back to North Carolina. I can't do it. I was actually on the zero turn in someone's yard, just couldn't do it anymore. I was broke down and I needed something. And I said, Lord, if you don't show up right now, if you don't show up, I can't do it. And I would like to say the next day is when I had that moment with Robbie. Thankfully I did, because fast forward a few years later, now I'm married and I'm on staff here. They trust me to oversee and run an industry, and I'm a father now, and I get to be that for my son, and that means everything to me. It's actually a beautiful thing, because had I left and had I listened to that thing that was overwhelming in me, my track record shows that it probably wouldn't have worked out very well. We were doing our amends list. And to get me here, it took a lot of resources to get me here. I'd found myself in a world of trouble. I was in jail and I needed a lawyer. And my dad really helped me out and came through. You know, I was like, Dad, how would I be able to repay you if I ever could? He said a statement that has stuck with me. He said, if you ever want to repay me, just walk it out. He said, that's all I want you to do is walk it out. That's it. Because that's the type of man he was. He never condemned me one time for what I'd gone through again. He said, just walk it out. Through the trials that I've had here, I just hear that voice is telling me just to walk it out and keep going and push. Even when I think I can't anymore, just keep going. And I've been able to live by that. I've been able to instill that into some other people, and that's been very impactful. Now I'm overwhelmed with, I just can't believe it some days. It's still hard to fathom that I'm in a position that I'm in and I'm trusted to do the things that I am, considering my past and all the things that I've done. And it's just a testament of that grace and forgiveness that I was speaking about earlier, and just how that's how we operate here. and I'm overwhelmed with every day is a pretty good day. I mean, I wake up, I don't have any anxiety. There's peace. I get to help my son get ready for, daycare or just play with him. I get to take care of my family and provide. I've almost been here 6 years, and I never could have fathomed at the beginning of this journey that I would be able to do the things that I do now and be in the position that I'm in. And then the cool thing is that it keeps going, though. It never stops. The Lord has never stopped showing me stuff. He's always working on me. He's always having me take an inventory of my heart, show me where I can improve, how I can do better. And that's one of my favorite parts about it, is that there's never an arrived attitude or place that I thought that I would get to. There's always just growth, and that's one of my favorite parts. But I would say, to answer your question, my life is significantly better now than it ever has been. Because it is a place that will absolutely change your life if you're ready and you submit to the process and you're teachable and humble and are willing to do whatever it takes. This place will absolutely, through Jesus, change your life and give you a life that you never thought was possible. There's phases for after you graduate where you can continue on or work for one of our industries and still have some accountability. And it's okay to make a mistake here. That's the beautiful part. There's several staff members that have had setbacks or made mistakes. I mean, and this place just forgives you and they don't hold it against you. And not only will they restore you, they oftentimes you're restored beyond where you started from. And that's just, you don't get that anywhere else. When I've gone through hardships here, the leadership here is always, anything you need, let us know, go take care of it, go be there with your family, time and time again. There's just no other place like this, and we're not perfect, but our standard is love, and they've proven that 100 times with me personally. To be in class or to be able to help guys that are coming through now and or on the job sites or sitting in class, it means everything. That's why I do what I do, is because I'm able to give to someone else what was given to me, because I want them to have that. I got a text message last night of a man just thanking me for being here throughout this journey. And I don't say this boastfully, but he said, I don't know if I would have made it had you not been here to help me. And I was just like, this isn't just a job. We're impacting lives here and families. And I mean, he has a wife and children and stuff that he's being restored to. And it means everything to me when I'm in class, or even if it's not me, but watching one of my fellow peers lead someone through it. It's like, this is why we're here, and this is why we do what we do, because we get to pass on the gift that was given to us. It's the gift that keeps on giving, is what I call it. It's very special. If there's anyone out there that is debating, or they're in that conflict of if I should or shouldn't take that step, just take it. It'll be the absolute best thing that you've ever done. It's scary. It is, but the moment you walk through those doors and you're embraced with love and a community that you've never had before, all that kind of subsides.